Greetings, hello, and welcome back. Thank you for tuning in. I'm ImperialJedi, that's episode number 7. And for today's episode, what I thought we could do is try our hand at making some specialized industrial zones. The city itself, it needs a lot more jobs, and we unfortunately can't grow the population until we provide some. And I just really want to get those incinerators placed. I know we were talking about concerts and a few other things, but I mean, these things were already more than half full. This one's already full, so we definitely have to get the incinerators down soon. Otherwise, we're going to end up with a whole bunch more landfills. And what I thought, instead of just beefing this up, let's move over to the valley and let's try doing a little farming area and let's try putting in some forestry industry right behind it. And then I was thinking that because we keep using the tunnels to go up the hills, let's try something different. Let's maybe follow the slope a little bit. We can kind of see there's a little kind of sort of ramp, like a natural one right there. So we'll maybe terraform a hint, but probably be able just to get right in. Slight combination of a tunnel right through there. Can't even speak, right through there. Who knows? My oh my, very excited. And I think that because this is the only way in, this 6-lane corridor right here, what we're probably going to have to do is maybe turn this into a roundabout with some exit lanes ahead of time or something like that, just to help traffic out a little bit more. Because I think the long-term goal would be to have maybe like a highway that kind of maybe breaks, a little expressway, national road kind of thing, and then sneaks along through there. But until that's built, we'll need to be creative in town. Okay, a lot to do. Very ambitious episode. Let's jump in and see what we can do. So let's go a little bit further straight, and then we'll start our bank. But then, when we buy, we'll see how the tiles go in terms of which ones we end up buying. But if we do end up buying this tile over here, maybe this can be an elevated bridge that kind of goes through and then dips down or something. But we'll leave this road more or less just for this area here, and then we'll pretend like the break for going down into the valley happens around the roundabout. So we'll make like a couple streets through here. But when you're making these kind of areas, you just got to be wary of traffic, and you don't necessarily want just like one real way in. So we might run into traffic problems here, but I think because this area is going to be small, we'll be okay in the grand scheme. I quite like this, not too steep. A little bit on the border right here. If we wanted to, we could terraform, we could turn that little stretch right there into a tunnel, but I think we're okay, just all things considering. Awesome. And then it'd be nice to maybe have this road split, or have a small section where it's 6-lane. Because I don't want to have trucks have to take the long way just because of the median. Like obviously with the median in the way, you can't, can't cross it. You have to do a U-turn or something. I'm just going to try and get a road that's symmetrical with other parts of the city in place here. So let's try just doing this as a tunnel. I'm just going to delete it afterwards, but just now down here we've got point of reference in line with the rest of the city. Choose to do whatever we want with it, but I think that'll help. And as a bonus, that could be a backup little road entry to the valley, just in case traffic gets a little bit backed up. Alright. So yeah, a little 6-lane stretch right here, just where the break's going to happen between forestry and where the farming is. And the farming obviously has got to be over top of where the soil changes color. And if you're on a map where it's a little bit tricky to see where the farming is, you can always click over here and take a look at your natural resources, and that'll show you what area is fertile. You've got trees. If we have any other resources, you got ore and oil. And the only catch is they do deplete very quickly. I believe in the vanilla game there's a mod now that lets you do the unlimited, but you can also download a mod in case it's not in the vanilla game. But forestry is renewable. Same with farming, so I tend to do that as a form of specialized industry. Alright, so let's go back over to this. Let's maybe make this curve a little bit more like that. And I might have a split in how this goes in. Just for fun. Now I realize we do lose a lane, but that's totally no problem. And the height's okay. I'm going to get rid of the traffic light, of course. It's almost like a weird roundabout. Just for fun here. Okay. And actually, you know what? Let me make this one a two-way. So I will keep that set of traffic lights. Just has that for governing the whole thing. And think of this as a high-speed right-hand turning lane. So I don't think people would use this to turn left. But that seems like a little bit too sharp to turn right. Okay, that's kind of cool. I like that. Alright, now as far as the rest of this goes, we'll just box in a quick little spot here for the farms. Carry this over. And I'd like to give it a bit of a smaller town kind of feel and vibe. And I think in order for us to achieve that, we're going to have to maybe use some dirt roads and little tricks like that. That's kind of a nice way to scale things down. Alright, so opportunity to do some zoning. So we can have a little commercial spot in the middle right there. Let's just move that out of the way because we don't really need that. Continue just a little bit with this. I'm just trying to scale the roads down so it doesn't look like it's going to dirt roads too quickly. Okay, so we'll connect that. Sometimes to get stuff to line up, you gotta be a little bit creative. Well, that works for me. And then if you're doing the forestry, it's totally not the end of the world, just in case you're not in an area that has trees. All you gotta do is just place them yourself. When you switch over to forestry, the game will start to plop down buildings and assets and stuff that have trees and everything in them, so it gives the illusion of a bit of a forest anyway. Alright, kind of a cool transition here. Just gotta be cautious of how much the slope is playing into effect. Let me make that just a road that falls back on itself. Yes, like right there, that doesn't really jive too well for me. But I think if we were to go like that, that would work a lot better. Yep. And then see, that also works better with the slope. Yeah, that's kind of fun. I like that a lot. Okay, so let's go ahead and zone this part up. We'll do this in segments here. And super easy peasy, so we'll just make everything here industry. And I'm going to have one small spot of manufacturing here as well. And all in all, it should look pretty cool. So we're going to go over to our districts. And we're just going to just kind of lazily draw the district over where we want it to be. And we can change the name if we want to. Just click on that. Just bada bing, bada boom. And then what I want to do is now specialize this so that it's forestry industry. So we're going to click over on our districts again. We're going to go over to our specialization. And then we're going to click on forestry. And just click on that. And so the buildings, if there were already some there, they will disappear and they'll come back in as forestry buildings, which is super cool. And so I'd like just a little stretch of industry right here. I'm going to surround it in commercial, just so it doesn't look too ground pollution kind of style. And then we're going to have a little shopping block just in here as well. Okay, so let's bring in some services, utilities, that kind of stuff now. Otherwise, all these people will move right out, and that won't accomplish anything. And so no problems in my mind for the power lines just to go in a nice straight line like that. Because we're about to build a roundabout here, let's just drop a little power line network just off to the side for the moment. Obviously, we can change that around if needs be. Lose a few houses, but all in the name of progress. Okay, just do our best with the water. It's not so bad. And I might have a little bit of commercial just in that spot too. Okay, so let's start putting down some roads for the farming. This looks okay so far. And I'd like to make sure that we don't run into any problems with fire, so fire coverage, drop that down right now. Great. And then as far as the farming goes, this is kind of fun. So we have a few options, because the farms themselves, they're not really all that big in City Skylines. And you guys will learn that. So let's have one road that just goes through like this. It's going to be asymmetrical, so we have the extra turning lane right there, but not going to be asymmetrical the whole length. And I'd like to have just another road coming in that could also be asymmetrical, so you get the extra lanes. And again, as long as it's not too steep, we'll keep it. It's not perfect. And I'm keeping that the 2 lanes going inbound. And then we'll switch this, maybe just one little stretch like that. Too bad it gives us that extra bump, but maybe we can use that to our advantage. Okay, so as far as the farms go, I'm going to switch over to dirt roads for this. But I was just saying, the farms themselves, they're not too big, because they suffer from that same, like, you can only zone so much, right? So you might want to be a little bit creative and try your hand at using some trees and making it seem like there's, some crops and stuff in fields here. So let's just put a few just random shapes out for some farms, some properties. Curve them when you want, like, whatever you want, right? But think of it as, you know, when the county was making this area, maybe it allocated this much space to farming, and then it would cut that up into, say, like subdivisions, right? Just to try and get as many people in as possible. And so we can just, you know, carve out what would be some farmers' fields and areas for that. We're going to take a look and see where traffic could be a problem. Right here definitely would be a problem. I don't really want just one way in, though, because similar to this, it just ends up being a bottleneck for traffic. So what we're going to probably end up doing in the next episode is a little bit of tinkering, because we're going to possibly create some traffic problems. Not that that's a bad thing, but we'll just want to try and fix them pretty early. I'm going to try and make that look a nice little blend here. Nope, that's not going to happen. That works though. Okay, so we've got the loose shape of what we want for the farmer's field. Let's get rid of the trees that are already in there. And then we can zone a little bit now with some farming. So areas where there's good coverage, we can do this. And just keep that all zoned, right? And then other spots, what we can do is just maybe zone one little square. And then we'll switch over to trees. And again, this is a little bit trial and error. And it's sometimes a little bit tricky to get everything to line up. And this might seem a little bit crazy if you're like, really? Yeah, do this? But it looks kind of cool. So just do your best. So I'm just going to click in kind of a straight-ish line. Click like a madman. And totally no problem if it looks like it's just all squiggly wiggly. Because really, when you zoom out, you can't notice that too much, right? If it's all you know, wavy-davy. But do your best. And just for fun, right? And so just trying to make the illusion of some farmers' fields here. And there are some mods and some assets, that kind of stuff. So you can download some more styles of trees and some surface painters and that kind of stuff. So you can get like wheat and like that kind of stuff. Corn and everything. But just for plain vanilla, I think this is pretty cool. And it's up to you, of course, how many you want and the spacing and all that other stuff. So we'll probably maybe put a couple more rows in, and we'll just be, you know, aware of where that's going down. And then we can line the dirt roads also with trees, just to kind of make it seem like there's like fences and boundaries and stuff. Well, I think you get the idea for that, but, you know, like this kind of stuff, right? So same kind of principal idea, just zone up a little bit, whatever you want type thing, maybe some mixed stuff. Anyway, so when you're done picking how you want your farms and stuff to go down, same idea. We're going to make a district. Just cover area that we're trying to work within. And remember, you can snap these to the road, so if you want it to look a lot cleaner, they'll go to the snap points. So we're trying to make like a nice little whatever, right? And then heading back over to our specialization, and instead of forestry, farming. But we don't actually have any more demand for industry, so that's not a bad thing. The whole point of building this was to try and get demand for more residents. And we already got some people, or some places calling for more residents, so this is great. So I think we can actually go back to some zoning here. But yeah, before we move out of here, hopefully this kind of gave you some idea. Very small start to our farming area, but you know, don't be afraid to be creative with the way the roads kind of work together. I think you might need to change some of this around, but one of those, like, you know, beauty is in the eye of the beholder type thing. So you guys can spill whatever you think looks good. That's kind of fun. And I was hoping to put a little bit more commercial in here, and maybe a hint of residential if we buy another tile. That's kind of cool. And we're going to monitor traffic, but we can already see there's a pretty big influx. So let's try and multi-attack this. I'm going to zone just some commercial just over here, just to try and satisfy a little bit the demand. Make sure everyone's covered. Nope, not quite. And then hopefully when we start to meet some of that commercial demand, that'll make the residential demand rise. So we can do a little bit of residential zoning too. Just a hint off this 6-lane road, just for the moment. Because really the 7,500 milestone, it's still very much alive in my heart. So we got all this spot here people can move into. Okay, now I was talking about wanting to turn this into a roundabout, just as a way to combat traffic. So I think that's something that's still totally on the docket here. I'm actually going to pause the game though, because it's going to disrupt this whole spot. But if we space the intersections out, we'll be able to handle more volume, and we probably won't have to add another way in for a while. Alright, so wish us luck. We're going right in. And, you know, if stuff doesn't line up, we'll be pretty creative on how we can make things work. With, like, turning arms, like that kind of stuff. Okay. Now, it doesn't necessarily make sense to have a 3-lane roundabout. I know they exist in real life, but the game usually likes 2-lane roundabouts the most. If you're using mods, you can have like small little 3-lane sections if you have the right roads. You can even use highway roads, but we'll keep things a little bit simple here. So what I'd like to do is just scale this back slightly, just for a little bit, and then to help with the extra lane, that kind of makes sense, we'd have, say, like a road that would lead like that, right? And then we're left with the extra lane. This becomes a turning lane, so that's really cool to use just in general in your cities. So if you're nosing traffic at one particular intersection, it's going bonkers, do something like this, so you end up with a permanent turning lane. And then we'll build our roundabout just off of this thing.
Classical music for classy people, and that's not classist.
I'm going to turn this one off. So I'm going to try and make it 6 units. Just so it's a little bit bigger than normal. That's what I want. Just like that, yep. Might take a little trial and error. Okay, great. And I'm just going to go ahead and put the internal arms into the roundabout just to hold its shape while we add some more figures to it. And so, same idea over here. Coming in with the 6-laner. We'll switch it over like that for the last little stretch. And then for here, you can see we don't quite line up. But we can probably make that work. So we'll go across like this. Come in like that. And I think we're going to leave one set of traffic lights in here, which might sound a little crazy, but it should actually help with the flow for traffic. And I want to have maybe a way for the, yeah, there we go. cool. So in the dream world, no one would go straight in through here. We might maybe see traffic do that. Actually, you know what? To maybe help us out, just to ensure that doesn't happen. And I'll go over and explain why I'm doing everything the way I am afterwards, just in case this is like, what are you doing kind of thing, you know? I may have made that a little bit too close. What I'm trying to do though is just, there we go, a high-speed turning arm so you don't have to go into the roundabout itself and you can bypass what would be the traffic light there. And that should now hopefully stop people from making that little cut through. Okay, we got it. Let's do it. Continue with this, then I'll explain it all. Alright, so that can go over to here. Act as a backup for that hole. Or way over to that, sorry. And that'll be the backup for it. Okay, I think that's pretty much it. And so what happens is you enter the roundabout, turn right, bada bing, bada boom, go into the city or this little area here, turn right, no problem. As you get closer to here, we have the traffic light, and that's just to help the general flow of everybody in the roundabout itself. And we'll put it to 3 speed now. Get rid of the double set of lights. But there we go, cool. And then this light, when it turns red, just allows a lot more flow into the roundabout and through. And then when I was talking about having one extra lane at some portions, is you can take a highway road, you can go right through here, and this just becomes basically a high-speed turning lane. So it just kind of works only for that little stretch right here. The downside to using the highway, though, is you lose the sidewalk, so pedestrians can't get through this part right here. And because the speed limit's so much higher, it's a little bit disproportionate. So I'll tend, not to do that. I think we'll keep it like this. And volume, it's going to look a little hectic, but I think we're going to be okay for the moment. And what I'm probably going to add now is a high-speed turning lane just for this side, just so that if you're a truck going over here, you don't have to wait into the light itself. So we'll have... It'd be cool to have that run parallel with this. Yeah, cool. And then we'll just make that go right over to here. Hopefully. There we go. Okay. So it looks like a lot of people are trying to use this just to go straight through here. I think what I'm going to do instead of having the traffic light right here is I might move the traffic light back to here just to cut a little bit of the flow, and that makes no sense. No, we'll just leave the lights out. Yeah, it still does add that problem though, doesn't it? Okay, so there's a stop sign. I'm happy now. That should help with the yielding. Okay, well, you know what? This might require a little bit more tinkering, but I think for the moment I'm happy with this. Traffic does seem to be flowing pretty darn well. I'll just keep an eye on it. But this is kind of cool. I like this. Nice little change of pace from the normal. We have a bit of industrial demand coming back in. So we can see what the farming stuff looks like. You can see there's not really big buildings, but you get some farming stuff. So it's kind of cool if we were to put some fields in and around it. So be totally creative over here when it comes to this kind of stuff. But I'm happy. Traffic's good. People are good. Population is moving. We should be able to unlock the incinerators pretty soon. And yeah, fix our garbage problems. Okay, guys. I think we'll call it an episode right here. Thanks for hanging out with me. Hopefully this has inspired you, giving you some ideas for future builds. And this looks like it's calmed down a little bit. I think I will probably add the traffic light back in, but we'll probably just monitor this a little bit off camera. All right, guys, let me know what you think. Drop me a comment, and I will see you in the next episode. We're probably going to be doing a bit of expansion, making sure we hit the incinerator, and then we'll probably end off the episode by putting down our concert ground. All right, guys, all the best. Take care. See you again.